to hear from Jackie. And then once you've heard from Jackie, if you have any questions, we'll gladly take this. Jackie, over to you.
Thank you very much, Marianne and Bose. I was really listening to you. Some of the things that you have spoken about, I think I will reiterate. Before I start, I also just want to appreciate and acknowledge Marianne. We hear a lot of talk about the importance of women supporting each other, and I think Marianne really exemplifies this. I know that for a fact. She's very good at bringing women together to network. She's very good at supporting women in their various businesses and roles, and Marianne, I really want to acknowledge that and appreciate you. So I'm speaking to you from Nairobi today, and when I was preparing for this, for today's session, I looked up some research, and I must say that I was surprised because although I know that there are very few women in corporate leadership, I was very surprised when I saw a study that reported that when people are starting their careers, men and women have got an almost equal desire for promotion or for progressing in their careers. That is about 75 to 78%. However, by the time they get into the middle of their careers, men are 70% more likely to be in executive roles. And when we move into the C-suite or the senior management of corporations, we find that men are 140% more likely to be in those roles than women. So it's entirely appropriate that we should be having this conversation today. And Marianne, I'm going to share with you my references in case there's anybody who wants to read up some of these reports for themselves. So the question is, what can we or what can women do to take a more active role in ensuring that when that time for promotion or progression in their career comes, they are picked instead of their male counterparts? I will share with you today 4 areas that I think you should pay attention to or that you need to master. And I will finish with a tool that can help you to assess where you are. The 4 areas that I'm speaking about are mastering your craft, demonstrating your competence, showing up with strength, and asking for what you need. And Bose has already alluded to some of these things. So your craft is the skill that got you the job. So you're all procurement professionals in one way or another. That is the bottom line. That is the basics. If you remain good at what got you the job, you will remain in the position that you were hired into. So you have to keep improving your skill. You have to understand the theories, understand the trends, look at what could potentially happen in the future. Bose has said that, you know, you're the person that people are always coming to. Let them come to you because they know you are really a master at what it is that you do. So having the craft is what keeps you in the room. But we are talking about, you know, not just being in the room, but being noticed by decision makers, being at the table, being potentially the one that is leading everything. Marianne was talking about CEOs that come from the procurement profession. Do you understand your organization's 5-year plan? Do you understand how you contribute? Do you understand who you need to be speaking to and how you can influence decisions that impact the role that you are hired into? This is all part of mastering the craft. And the thing is, professions change. Bose said when she was joining SIPS in her time, she didn't need to do some of the things that people are doing today. Keep up with the changes, keep up with the trends, understand the tools that you need to do your work better, because new things are always being invented. The second thing that I would like to talk about is that you need to demonstrate your competence. Now, here we have 2 things. First is demonstration, and second is competence. When I was talking about your craft, I was really focusing on your profession and what the skills that you need to do the work that you are hired to do. But when I'm talking about competence, I want to extend this into other domains of your life. So we are including the professional, of course, but we are also talking about competence in managing your personal affairs. We are talking about competence in managing your emotions, for example. And this is one area where women differ from men, in the sense that while mastering your craft is something that even a man needs to do, in order to get noticed and to get promoted, when it comes to demonstrating competence, we are talking about the different roles that you play in life. And these roles include your professional role as well as personal roles. You might be a wife, you might be a mother, and in African society, these roles are still gender specific. So while you are able to go out and work, you find that you're still 100% responsible for managing your home, for managing your household. How do you manage this in such a way that it does not interfere with your profession? You know, while everybody knows that you are taking care of your family, you're taking care of your children, the fact of the matter is, if you're always making an excuse not to join that networking event, not to go on that business trip, not to do ABCDE because you have to take care of your children, because you have to take your child to hospital, because you have to do this and that pertains to that personal role, it can interfere with your professional progression. So you need to think about how you can handle these things in such a way that they do not interfere with your aspirations in the profession. Because I am assuming that you chose to be in this profession, but you do not want to stagnate. You want to grow in that profession, even as you're playing your other roles. And there are studies that have shown that these factors actually implement women's ability to go forward. Is it a question of linking up with a mentor, as bosses said? Do you need to hire a coach? Do you need to pay a professional nanny so that you reduce the burden of having to take care of your children, but you know that they are being well taken care of? How can you use digital applications to help you manage menu planning, shopping reminders, whatever you need to do for your school, for your children's school calendar and things like that? These are things that you need to look at that will help you to demonstrate that you're able to manage everything that you need to do as a woman, as a professional woman. And don't forget that as you're doing all these things, you are also looking at improving your professional skills. So participating in your professional association, and I'm happy to see you here at an event that is organized by your professional association, reading up on new research and things like that. So these are ways in which you can ensure that you manage your affairs across different life domains, but that you also demonstrate that you're able to manage them. The third thing is showing up with strength. Don't just show up. Don't just be present. Don't just make technical appearances, but be involved and be involved in an impactful way. This is about raising your own profile. And again, we have had Bosse talk about it. Marianne mentioned that this is one of the notes that she took. And I have to say that when Marianne was reading my profile, and even when she was reading Bosse's profiles, I couldn't help but think about how far I have come to be able to write down such a profile and to listen comfortably to somebody read it back to me. Because I was always shy about putting down some of these things, because this is what happens with we women. We are raised to be, to sort of be in the background and to feel that if we are praising ourselves, there's something wrong with us. So the question is, the thing is, you cannot get ahead if you're not being seen by others. And the trick is to come up with solutions that can help you raise your profile, but in a way that fits in with your values. For example, can you create a newsletter that highlights the role that you and your team are playing? Can you organize your domestic affairs in such a way that you can attend at least some of the out-of-office events that will help to raise your profile? Can you tap someone to do your bragging for you? The sponsor that Bosse was talking about. And do you have a good biography on your organization's website? or at least on your LinkedIn profile. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? And how do you describe yourself on that LinkedIn profile? These are some of the ways that you can really show up, and you can show up, show your good side without necessarily doing it in an uncomfortable manner or doing it in a way that will make people think that you're being brash and arrogant. But the thing is, you need to show up with strength. And we are not talking about physical strength, but what we call your signature strengths. For those of you who are interested, I will share a link with Marianne. So the positive psychology school of thought has come up with an assessment that helps you to identify. So they have identified 24 character strengths that they believe that everybody has. But your top 5 are what they call your signature strengths. So if you do this assessment, you can find out what your signature strengths are, and then you find opportunities to use these strengths consistently, constantly, and often. So don't show up only in gender recognized roles. Don't always be the one who is welcoming guests when you have an event, the one who is serving tea, or the one who is chairing the social welfare committee. There's nothing wrong with this, but the thing is, these roles tend to emphasize gender stereotypical roles that can actually work against you. These roles are what some people call office housework. This is your default role. Try to show up with strengths in other roles. I mean, can you be the MC? Can you be the master of ceremony at an event? Can you be the guest speaker when your organization is hosting something? Can you be the chief negotiator when you're in procurement and supplies, and this is something that falls right within your skill set, or that should fall within your skill set? Can you be the one who is leading a focus group discussion when the organization is trying to solve certain issues? So avoid those gender stereotypical roles, simply because they may lead people to believe that that's all that you're good at. I noticed a certain role inventory that was developed by Stanford University, and which shows 20 characteristics that are associated with femininity. And these characteristics tend to be about support. They tend to be about relationships. But by contrast, the characteristics that are linked to masculinity tend to be self-focused. And they are about being individualistic, being dominant, being ambitious and analytical and willing to take risks. And these are also the characteristics that are linked to leadership. So when you're positioning yourself for a leadership role or for that promotion, you need to be able to demonstrate in what ways you have these roles, in what ways do you have those analytical capabilities, in what ways do you have that ability to take risks when it is needed, to make strategic decisions, because these are the things that are seen in your male counterparts and that allow them to be given those promotions and that make you be left behind. But of course, this does not mean picking roles that are that you're uncomfortable with. Pick roles that really fit in with your personal style, with your personal values, but which are valuable as far as those leadership positions are concerned. I know that for myself, one of the things that I struggled with as a young woman, but which I later came to embrace, is my ability to speak straight. I was always told it's not ladylike, it's not kind. But with time, I came to understand that this is actually a gift. To be able to look at a situation, to assess the situation, and to really name that situation, because by naming the situation honestly, I was able to find solutions if it was a situation that required solutions. I was able to be sincere in my relationships. And so this is what I'm talking about. Once you understand that you have certain strengths, don't let other people make you feel bad about them. Find a way that you can use those strengths to your own advantage, and of course to the advantage of people around you as well. The last thing, and this is something that a lot of women struggle with, is asking for what you need. If you don't ask for it, you won't get it. For sure you won't get it if you don't ask. If you ask, there is a 50% chance that the answer is going to be yes. And one key thing to ask for in a professional situation is feedback. Research, again, tells us that women do not receive the same quality feedback as men. Men tend to receive what we call aspirational feedback that prepares them for future roles, while women receive transactional feedback on performances that have already been completed. So if you want to understand how you're being viewed in relationship to a potential promotion or in relation to an opportunity that you are eyeing, ask a specific question. Bosse said she would talk with her HR director and say, I am interested in this and that. What do you think I need to do in order to position myself for that role? Ask, I'm interested to be in the director of finance position, for example. What skills and experiences do you see in me that are beneficial for that role? And what are the areas I should focus on for my development? When you ask a question like that, you get very specific but useful feedback for that role that you are asking about. Instead, women will often go and ask for, can I have some feedback about my work? That is not specific enough. So, while men are appointed for their potential, so when you are positioning yourself for a job, be sure that you have both, that you're speaking to your potential as well as speaking about what you have achieved. So you have the numbers and examples to show what you have achieved to date, but you also demonstrate the conviction and belief in yourself that you can be what the organization requires you to be for the future. The last thing that I would like to share with you is a tool that helps you to assess how you're doing as you're thinking about the 4 areas that I have spoken about. And this tool speaks about 4 things that start with the letters A, B, M, and A. So the first A is for attention. What are you paying attention to? What do you concern yourself most with? What do you participate in? What do you comment on? And then, do these things help or hinder your ambition? One of the things that I criticize, and I know that I do not have the support of many women on this, is the way there is a lot of talk about how women should dress. I remember getting into an argument with somebody because she was giving a presentation and she showed an image of a high-heeled shoe to demonstrate, how you should appear, from a physical point of view as a professional woman. And I said, I don't believe that. Because while I am a professional woman, I am also running after children. I am also running, I'm also walking around doing shopping in the market and things like that. And at the end of the day, I have a backache because I'm wearing a high-heeled shoe because somebody thinks if I appear in the office with a flat shoe, I'm not being professional. So these are just some of the things that you should ask yourself. Do I really need to pay attention to that? How does it help me? How does it hinder me? The second thing is the B, your beliefs. What do you believe about leadership, performance, promotion? Do you believe that being ambitious is not ladylike? Do you believe that your good work will speak for itself? Do you believe that you shouldn't hold a higher position than your husband even if you're not working in the same organization? How do these beliefs help or hinder you? The fourth thing is your motivation. What interests you? What do the things that motivate you say about your needs? How do you react? How do you interact with your situation, with your opportunities when you are given those opportunities? What topics interest you, and what do these say about your ambition and about your aspirations? And finally, action. What concrete behavior do you demonstrate about performance, about promotion, about leadership? What do you actually do that people see? And how does that help or hinder your ambition? So this is, I know this is all very top level, but I understand that the session is supposed to be interactive. I hope I have given you sufficient food for thought, and obviously we are now going to go into a session